Heyo, log 32.0. Time is 1:17 a.m. Saturday, November 20th, 2021. 2021. What to say about this week? So a lot, which is why I'm doing one of these. Not doing these every week. I spoke with a buddy of mine, Mike, just dropping names now. Fuck it. This speaking ass. I'm still doing this. So, when there's something I feel like it's worth saying, and I got the energy to, come here and do this and say it. But this week, like energy, no energy, I feel like I need to kind of do this one. This one was significant. This week was significant. And we'll have like lasting kind of life-changing, how do I say, like impact, right? So let's start at the top. So with what's, I guess, least significant, but still significant, is booked my vacation, right? So for the end of the year. So I'll be home for the holidays, guys. For whomever, my 5 listeners or whomever, or wait, 3, never mind. I'll be home for the holidays if someone from home is listening. I'll be back for a wedding New York first, or New Jersey rather, right? Wedding's on like December 23rd. So I'm flying in, getting in. Oh, but then there's like the day before I have to be there too. I forget what they're doing, like some sort of ceremony before the wedding. Muslim wedding, I've never been to one. I'm not even sure how they go, Like I'm so accustomed to, even before I've been to any kind of typical Christian wedding, you all know kind of how it goes, just in like Hollywood, right? But the Muslim wedding, I'm not exactly sure. I get to be a groomsman, which is great, so I'm excited. Get to wear that Pakistani garb. I figure we're going to do like one of those choreographed dances. I don't know. Nothing's been explained, but we'll see. Pretty quick turnaround between the invitation and the wedding. And the wedding is on what, December 23rd? But I imagine makes for like a better price venue. Can't imagine too many Christians are booking their wedding the day before Christmas Eve. But it works out and all's well. And, given that like most people have that time off or plan to take that time off or can't easily take that time off anyhow. But that said, given that the invitations came out like only maybe 3 months ago, if that, not even 3 months ago, I mean, well, people probably already had plans, right? But given the guy's getting married, right? I mean, this like plays right into kind of how he is. So it's all, surprise, surprise, none at all, But yeah, so I'm not gonna do anything in New York though. That's what I was kind of toying with, because I've never been to New York, So I was toying with the idea of maybe like spending time there after, thinking of like staying there through to like New Year's Eve or something. But New York is expensive. And then as soon as I gave it some like proper thought, realized, what am I thinking? Like I'm gonna spend Christmas Eve, Christmas Day in New York in a hotel, paying a premium when my mom is like on the other side of the country. I haven't been home in 2 years. Like, dude, fuck it. I'll do New York another time. Bitches love New York. I'll do the look with some bitch, bro. Like, seriously. And I'm not that drawn to New York. It's definitely somewhere I want to be and see, and people tell me I have to go. And I know as much myself. But like, I don't know. It's all good. Do it another day. And then the other thing was maybe do it leading up to like the wedding or whatever. But there again, still want to take that week off in between Christmas and New Year's. I don't know, just didn't make sense. Didn't compute basically. So, and then I was talking to Mike, and like he was kind of feeling the same about like ruling out New York. Even though at first we talked about maybe kind of doing it up. So what I'll do is I'll fly in 21st, which is like what, Tuesday. Then there's the ceremony or whatever type of ceremony on the 22nd. Then there's a formal like wedding or whatever, however it goes on the 23rd. Then I'll fly back through to the Bay Area Christmas Eve. But then I was looking at like flights and stuff, because this is not like a simple round trip. I got like a fly from London to New York to San Jose or San Francisco or Oakland if an option, whatever. Really rather not. It's just easiest to be obviously San Jose. And then from there, fly back to like London. But like, I don't know what it is, if it's just if it's Corona related or it would be this way regardless, but there's like very few like direct flights. Well, the first concern was I needed a direct flight from London to America, right? So there's a lot of these types of flights that would take me like actually even away from America, like take me back to Frankfurt or something, or even Istanbul, or like down to Lisbon, or back a little bit, backwards a little bit to like Amsterdam, and then onwards to like America. Or there were flights that would like bring me in through like Montreal or Toronto. I'm not trying to deal with like transit in another country. I don't know what the deal is. I'm not trying to figure out what the deal is. Like one of my customers is Amsterdam Airport, and they're just constantly getting requests from customers about the customers, but like what do you call travelers, about what the fuck they need, given that they're like transiting through and stuff like this. And even though I work with that customer and see all those tickets, I'm not even clear. And even the airport says, actually, you just need to contact your embassy or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not trying to deal with any type of like transit between countries. I just need to figure out what do I need to get from UK to America, and fuck any stopover in any other country in between. So managed to figure that much. That's not too hard, right? London, New York. I think I ended up deciding JFK, even though it's in New Jersey. A, because it was one of the cheaper flights or cheaper like options, because I'm booking them all three like in one as a package. JFK is, we were told not to book into JFK. We were told like, hey, recommended you come in through LaGuardia or Newark. But looking at it was one of the cheaper options. And also when I mapped it out, I saw that from JFK to like whatever the hotel in New Jersey where the hotel party would be, brings me right through New York. So yeah, it'll be a pricey Uber ride for sure. I'm also coming in at like rush hour, but fuck it, I'll like just pay for that Uber ride and just kind of see New York, you know, from my Uber ride to my hotel in New Jersey, you know. So I'll take it. That'll be my first New York experience, just stuck in an Uber in rush hour through New York to New Jersey, across there's some bridges I gotta cross, a bridge I will be crossing. Turnpike, do they call it? I don't know, but they have turnpikes in New Jersey, right? What is a turnpike? I don't even know exactly what turnpike even exactly means. Is it just like I pay, you pay? Turnpike means you pay, or what? What is turnpike? Turnpike, a road for the use of which tolls are collected. Yeah, you pay. Okay. Imagine you pay for the bridge, much like you do like the Bay Bridge. So anyways, that's now finally been booked. Booked that, what, just yesterday or Wednesday, with Mike. I think he really helped, just scheduling a call with him to like kind of get it booked that up, like really was what I needed to really get it done. Doing it on my own, I don't know that I would have done it, or I would have definitely done it. Like I would have, I'm not gonna miss their wedding, right? But I'm just glad it was cool to kind of just hop on a call. And even though we're booking different flights and this and that, it was cool to just hop on a call with him and like chit chat a little bit and also just get it done. He didn't get his piece done though, so see what happens there. But we have a hotel booked up. And now I'm excited. Yeah, I have the fucking, request in the company, have the fucking days blocked off on my calendar. It's fucking happening, you know? Haven't taken like, well, I have actually very recently took a week off, proper week off in England with my folks, with my mom and my family, English side of them. And that was like the first time I really took a week off. And the whole time I've worked here, I'm talking like 4+ years, where even, not to say I didn't take vacations, but even on my vacation, I'd still be kind of working, right? This 1 week, the other couple months ago, was the first time it was like a solid, like no work week, like for real. That's gonna be now another one of those. And I fucking luck out, because even though I'm taking like however many days off, taking like, what is it? Like something like 7 business days, basically. No. 7 days. What exactly am I doing? The point being is, however many fucking days I'm actually taking off, 3 of them turn out to be holidays in the UK. So really luck out like that, which is nice. So let me review this. So I leave Tuesday 21st. And then on my calendar, I don't have UK holidays. I still have this stuck to like US holidays. I have to look and see how I can change that. But anyways, yeah, the deal in the UK is they always get the day after Christmas off, but because the day after Christmas off this year is a Sunday, they actually get the Monday off. And then they also get obviously New Year's Day off. And then there's some other day in here they also get off. um, they get the day off for New Year's. Got it. So because New Year's falls on a Saturday, they get Friday off also. Day off for New Year's Day. Okay, cool. So, and then there's still some other day in here that I'm forgetting that somehow they get off. So it works out well. I took what am I ended up, and then I get back Monday, but I took that Monday off. I think that Monday is off for them though, is the thing already. So yeah, basically like 2 weeks off. For 2 weeks off, I'm only taking seven vacation days. Anywho, so that's in. Excited to make it back to America. Maybe probably no better time than the holidays anyhow to make that return trip after 2 years essentially. And see people, man. I mean, there's a lot of babies that have been born since I like left. My cousin was like the first one. One of my good friends, he got married and had a baby as well, or had a baby and then got married. I want to see that baby too. There's a third baby. Oh, and of course, my fucking like one of my best friends growing up had a kid too. I even have his baby card here. They mailed it all the way to me here, all the way out in London. It's really sweet. I'm having it's like standing up right there against my TV. You know, baby Ashton, baby. And I want to see that baby too. Not to mention my buddy, right? I just see people, you know, especially because like it's been a while. It's not like I was just away I mean, when I first came out here, I was even admitting as much that I could just be gone for 3 months or forever kind of thing. Little did I know though that like Corona would hit and like, you know, the complications of all that. But what was or could have been just like 3 months, 6 months. I mean, I was saying more like 6 months, but like I was like, could be 3 months, could be 6 months, could be forever kind of thing. It could have been, it was like a unknown, you know, amount of time, you know, before I knew I'd be back. To like 2 years later and come back. And it's been a good 2 years for me as far as what I set out to accomplish when I first came. Right. So I think it'll be good to go back and like reset. Now, what am I trying to accomplish? Coming back, right? Because I'll be back right, to London, right? But like, yeah, like accomplish what I set out to, what I came here to accomplish. Now, going home and can report back and tell the story if anyone wants to hear it or hasn't heard it, cares to hear it. And then, but most importantly, see people catch up, see the babies of my buddies and my cousin, and then spend some time back in the Bay Area, see with some new eyes. You know, 2 years removed, I wonder how I see the Bay Area coming back, and come back refreshed, hopefully, back and ready to, you know, get at next year. You know, with new things to set out to accomplish. But anyways, that said, a lot was accomplished this week outside of like booking time off, right? I still need to I still get that suit and stuff and all these other things I need for that wedding or whatever, but it's not as bad as bridesmaids. I feel bad for bridesmaids. You guys make it bad on yourself. Women do it to themselves. Like, did men make being the bridesmaids so shit for bridesmaids? No, bro, that's they did them themselves. Anywho, the groomsman's great. Like, groomsman's such a piece of cake, man. Don't have to worry about anything. Like, really, let's just look good. Like, keep it simple. And also, you know, +1, whatever. Like, if I wasn't a groomsman, the whole like, oh, +1, do I bring someone or not? Would I just go there on my own? You know, like, but as a groomsman, it's like I'm part of the party, part of the wedding party. I don't have to worry about anything else. I'm plugged in. I'm just excited. I think I'm the only white guy though. We'll see that. Yeah, so what was accomplished this week though? So it's like week 3 of this new hire I hired, and she's good. She's very meticulous, which is great. That's what I need, because the other UK CSM absolutely isn't by comparison. Comparatively, like, well, just subjectively, she's not that meticulous, bro. Like, I could give some examples, but we don't need to do that, right? Like, she's just maybe too relaxed, right? Whereas this one, very much detail oriented, crossing her T's, dotting her I's. So it's good to have one that's like that, right? It'd be great if both were, right? But this new one, maybe not as like sociable, as personable, maybe as the other one. So if people have their strengths and weaknesses, I'll take it, right? Looking for a team that like complements each other. So, but at the same time, the little bit of hand holding here. So like I knew there would be like an element of onboarding. Fortunately, I feel like I have been able to make some good like little chunks of time, little chunks. No, little good like chunks of time here or there, right? Sprinkled throughout the week to like really like train her up, right? And in a startup way of like, here, let me show you how to do this thing we just talked about on this call with this customer, right? Not like a formal onboarding, 2 weeks of onboarding and then you'll start your job. No, nothing like that, obviously. But and she's good to see, it's good to see she's meticulous. She did kind of make me laugh though, or it was making me laugh kind of a little bit this week, because this week I really focused in on her. We have monday.com, right, is like taking notes of all the tasks of that get mentioned on the call, right? And kind of, when I say, oh yeah, we'll get that done, that means you need to put it in the Monday board, right? And then also Jira tasks and stuff. And like the other week, she would ask to hop on a call to like review the Jira tickets she created. Right? Like, does this make sense? Like, okay, yeah, it's fine, it looks good, yep, all right. Submit, right? And then like one of the SCs like moved it to backlog, right? Or like, that was one couple of days, and then the day later or something, like one of the tasks we created like the day before or something, like the SC with the best, she's like, hey, can you help on call? Okay, so help on call. Like, she had some other things to raise too, but then she was like, by the way, like, why did he move it? But did I do something wrong here? Like, he moved it to backlog. And it's like, no, he moved it backlog because, and I know why he moved it backlog. Implicitly, I kind of know, but I don't like explicitly know why he did, right? But I know he's just like moving shit out of his to do, because his to do column is just so fucking long, right? And it's really a task that doesn't need to get done this week and get done next week or whatever. And I know him, he just moved it to like backlog so that it wouldn't be in his long ass to do column. I was like, all right, well, let's look at his to-do column. And I just basically said what I said. I was like, yeah, he's probably just moved it out of like to-do, because look at his to-do column. Like, so okay, but we'll confirm with him later when we have a meeting with all, the SEs in a bit, right? And then you're just going through all the errors too, which like the other 8 CSM, I don't know, ever really does, to be quite frank. Or does on the calls with customers, but I don't know that she does like between calls, right? I think something, if she does do, it's like on the call with the customer at the time, looking at the same time the customer is, right? Same time she's sharing her screen with the customer and they're looking at it together. Maybe that's a little much to say that that's the only way she does it, but sneaking suspicion that's kind of how she does it. And that's not, I mean, I kind of do it that way too, let's be honest. But when there's pilots and stuff, or like early days, I really do spend a lot of time in the error reports we create, like to review and address and resolve issues, right? And and with this new hire, like she just just this week, like I think it was this week on Tuesday, I had her send her first email, right, to the customer, right? It's a big moment for her too, right? She's freaking out about Jira tickets internally, right? So I can tell the gravity of the moment of like the first email to the customer. And her first customer is a very significant customer. They're one of our biggest customers all of a sudden. But it's a good situation. They're good like customer, and I think it's a good first one, because when that first one really matters, like it really like brings you into it. Like I feel like the first one, you're always going to care. I feel like you're always going to care about your first one a little more than maybe any or most, right? Something significant, obviously, about the first one, right? Your first one, right? And this is our first one. Our first one's a significant one. So this is like, crown jewel, as the first jewel in the crown, right? Um, and don't fuck this up, right? You're doing really well. They're huge. Don't fuck it up. I'm showing you a lot of trust by giving you this one. It's not like a hinky dinky one, right? But also with the hinky dinky ones, the little guys, they're sometimes oftentimes actually more difficult than the big guys. Right? More difficult. It's just like, I don't know. They're just more difficult. I feel like. And but yeah, so that's checkbox on that. Like kind of following the plan I put forth at the onset, which is like week 1, you'll just shadow and listen and not say anything. Week 2, you'll start creating tasks, and she did start doing that last week. Week 3, you'll start like communicating with the customers. That's via email for now, right? And then week 4, you start talking to customers, right? And then the second month, right? I'll still join the calls to a degree, right? The second month, but you'll be leading the calls basically from the end of the first month or the 4th week, or however you want to fucking cut it, wherever we cut it, right? It will be different. Yeah. But in the second month, I'll shadow and such. And then the 3rd month, like, you're on your own. And actually, that's not even like the original planning thinking I had. Like originally it was going to be like, shadow me for the first month. Second month, you're going to take care of all the background tasks. And then 3rd month, you'll do all the talking and I'll just shadow, right? But we need to do kind of an expedited onboarding here. She's chomping at the bit too, right? I can tell, and I don't want to lose the steam of that like initial excitement. And with the holidays approaching and we're in the midst of peak and everything, like we just need to kind of fast track this, and maybe fast tracking this, it becomes the new kind of onboarding program, right? Plan or whatnot, right? Let's see if we can fast track this a bit. And honestly, like with some, we'll be able to for sure. Some, I think I'll still be leading the calls in January. But by the end of January, the idea is all that you would have, all that is to be assigned to you by the end of the 3rd month, you're on your own with the SE though. So it's not like you're absolutely on your own, And the SEs in all these cases are the SEs who like implemented it from day 1, which is something I'm going to maintain, as well as that the SE who's going to have the account should be the one who is involved in the pilot. But we need more SEs to make that possible, to be honest. So we're on the hunt for a new SE, signs the contract with some recruiters, 2 recruiters in the US to help us with that US SE hire. We're also hunting for another UK or EU EMEA based one as well. But now to the real significant news, so what is especially significant about this week is that we hired, or he accepted as of today, a head of customer operations who would report to me, and who has worked here before, who was here from like the very first era. I would say this company's had like 3 eras. I would say we're at I would say that we're at the end of the 3rd era. I think we're about to start like what I would frame as like a 4th era. But he was part of a first era that I was never a part of. I joined shortly before, or like maybe I was like one of the first initial hires that kind of kicked off this like 2nd era. Him and me overlapped for like a year of that 2nd era. And then the 3rd era, and then he quit. He quit, and it's so funny. I was explaining to like my boss, basically, I was saying, and I've been trying to put out like get the word out to him, because we're not close, right? When we worked together a year. He's in the UK, I was out here, but he always like kept his cards close to the chest, I felt like, and I could never really get a read on him. And I had a feeling he really didn't like me, to be honest, right? I wasn't really sure of me, maybe it's a better way to say. He really wasn't sure of me. Maybe it was just me being also part of it was that like I was the only one there who had been like a CSM before, on the team of 4, right? 2 out here, 2 over there. Also, I think there was, I was told when I was hired that like my remit was to basically lead the team. It wasn't in the title in any way, but it was like kind of what I was told I was hired to do. So I kind of did lead, but then maybe stepped on his toes some, I could see, or was always very worried that I was stepping on his toes, or like cognizant of it. I don't want to step on his toes. I don't know if he felt that I stepped on his toes, but I was always kind of worried that like I kind of was, or that he would think I was, or whatnot, right? Um, and like I said, we never really had like a direct relationship, but he was beloved by the company, right? He's one of those early darlings. You know, they're always true of like startups. There's always those early guys or girls that are just like the darlings, right? Like company darlings. In those early days, especially. And so we never really had like a relationship. I was always felt like wasn't sure if he felt like he was never really sure of me, sort of thing. And I could never get a read on him. And you know, everyone knows what I think. You know, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I can never really tell what he was thinking. He never really kind of opened up, right? Or how he was feeling or whatnot, until I basically, one day I was in the car with the execs when they were out here in the Bay Area for like some meetings and stuff. And we're all in the car together. It was me, chief product officer, the CTO, and our I feel like our chief strategy officer was there too. But at the very least, it was me and the CTO and the CPO. I feel like there might have been someone else in the mix, maybe in the car. I'm trying to remember. But basically, what I said was it was the Uber driver. But basically, what I said was like, hey guys, like right now we could report to the CRO. The CRO is a very kind of emotional CRO. And right now we have a lot of product problems, right? And we're biting the bullet as CSMs. And, you know, who are we supposed to go to like escalate these issues? Our boss, I guess, who is the CRO. But what we're doing is we're escalating these very like very significant product problem and customer dissatisfaction, like significant dissatisfaction issues to the very person who's responsible for selling selling it, right? And he's very emotional too, right? So like it's not working, bro. You know, like we're killing his confidence. He doesn't know what like necessarily what to do. I mean, he's a CRO and we're bringing up product problems, you know, like it's what is he supposed to do, right? He could apply the pressure on like headquarters, I guess, to like fix these fucking problems, but it's really not his problem, right? But we are his problem as CSMs, and our problem right now as CSMs is the fucking product. So why don't we just report to the CPO, sort of thing? Well, just floated it basically. And they like immediately on the spot, they're like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. They basically on the spot was kind of agreed, right? But you know, without like a commit, right? Like, oh yeah, let's go back and like, but yeah, that makes total sense. And then yeah, it was announced that we would now be reporting to the CPO, like I think like a day later, the next day. And it was reported, yeah, the next day. And then this guy we just hired is coming back now, was furious about it. And I think part of it was that I didn't realize how lame this CPO actually was. Like, you know, like he was I would say just like a weak man sort of thing. He was good at like maybe like he's like much older, like established, like I think done well for himself in like the Salesforce world, right? But you know, we weren't just selling to sell. A lot of our biggest customers were on Salesforce at the time, so it makes sense. And I don't know, he's all established on that side. I'm not shit talking him because he's, you know, good guy, nice guy, right? But I don't know, it was lacking, right? I mean, if he's a chief product officer, yeah, but then I don't know where the blame falls for the product problems we experienced back then, right? But is it CTO's fault, CPO's fault? Is it just everybody's fault? It's just everybody's fault. It really is. But anywho, so that said, regardless of the competence of the CPO or the perception of the CPO, you know, he was furious about it, right? I'm like, why though? Because it's not like this is working, right? And I think really what it was, you know, he just felt like he'd been jerked around too many times. And I was right there with him. I mean, at this point, by the time we reported to the CPO, we had already reported to the CRO, I'd already reported to the CSO, and prior to that, like when I first started, we kind of reported to the CTO. So first of all, way too many C levels for a fucking tiny ass startup. Well, it wasn't tiny. That was the thing too. We were pre-series A and still had like 40 something people, right? But like, CTO. So I had, we went through 4 fucking managers in grand span of what, 18 months. So I totally get it. And he had already been there like, maybe 3 years or something. He already been there many years. How long had he been there already? Actually, exactly. He already been there way too long, and shit was not working. Like, you'd have to be, why people stayed, why those that did stay stayed. Like, I don't know, everyone has their reasons. I know mine. It's hard for me to imagine everyone else's because shit was so bad. It's like, what are you, why is anyone here? It's like, it's a broken sinking ship. And yeah, man, at that point, he had already been there like 4 years, 8 months, right? Been jerked around like in the last like year and a half. Um, Across like 4 fucking managers. Shit wasn't working. Customers were ripping into us. He was stuck with some of like the bigger customers in the UK where the issues are, bigger, because they matter more. And totally get why like he left, right? And But what I was saying to my boss, CEO, basically was like, I really don't, we never really like connected that. I really never really knew how he really felt about anything until that moment, until he was furious about us now reporting to CPO. And the boss laughs and says, well, that's hilarious because the next day he like put in his notice. I didn't realize that, right? I realized the very next day was the day for his notice. I talked to him over drinks earlier this week. Apparently, it wasn't like the very next day, but that was like the last straw. Um, but maybe it was the last day, but the very next day. But yeah, it was just hilarious that the first time I really got a read on him, or the really first time I really got idea of like how he felt about something, first time he really expressed it to me was like the thing that was like the last straw. So I didn't realize it was like the last shot. I didn't realize it was so like aligned in terms of timelines. But anyways, we got drinks. So anyways, I've been putting out feelers with one of the girls that works here as well, say, hey, if you ever see him, like let him know, like I'd love to have him back. I'll even give him like a director title, blah blah blah, right? I've said it other to like the other guy, VP of sales, and knows him well, said to him too. I feel like I've said to my boss as well. I'm pretty sure I have, right? Just trying to get that word out to him. But I always knew, right, that I don't know. I knew that I don't know, like really how he would feel working for me. I don't think, he would really want to work for me. So it wasn't like, it was something where that's why I was kind of doing like this, putting out the feelers or putting out the word through people he's close with, right? Who then I would hope could kind of explain like, no, Bor's great, um, but I always felt like he wouldn't want to work for me kind of thing. And But then I guess over not this weekend, was this weekend? Previous weekend. Yeah, previous weekend. My boss and him met up, and I guess they don't meet up too frequently. Every once in a while, they're close, good, like that. And then boss basically made like an incredible offer. Like, what if we gave you this? And by this I mean more than I've been making, right, in the last 4 years, right? Like mega money, right? Not that I make mega money, but like it's mega money in London. It's not mega money, but like more than I've been making, basically, right? Like I'm basically offering up more than I've been making with like a mega signing bonus. Yes, the mega signing bonus by like any fucking standard as far as I'm concerned, right? And like, yeah, basically more than I've been making, right? So and I'm all right with that. That's okay. Obviously, I need to make more. That's on me to negotiate my shit, right? Like, and ultimately, like, for a good hire, like it's worth the price. And it's basically what you pay a good CSM in the Bay Area years ago. I don't know what you pay a good CSM now with fucking inflation and shit, but like what you pay like a top end, but in the Bay Area, right? And then the rest of the world doesn't compare it at Bay Area. There's always an outlier, right? Maybe it's what you pay like just a good CSM now, right? Like a good enterprise CSM now in the Bay Area. But in London, significant, right? Um, and so that, like, so, and there was interest from him, and he just started somewhere. He just started somewhere like 2 months ago, another AI company. Prior to this, he was at like a very like stodgy kind of fintech. I don't even know if it's tech, but like I get it is fintech company. Um, and funny story there too, because I guess when he got hired there, at least the story I heard, how it's been relayed to me, is that when he interviewed there, they misunderstood his title as customer success manager as that he was a manager, right? And hired him as like the manager of customer success Europe. So he kind of like stumbled up into this like crazy, role, right? Or promotion essentially, or anything. And was been there like he was there like 2 years, 9 months. But we all knew, knowing him, that like, that's not the right place for him, sort of thing. But it's good, I guess, to get that experience, check that box, have that like established company experience, by the book, or very kind of square, or I don't know what the best word is. Um, but then he moved on from that, from like to another AI company that just does like image detection. And we don't, different focus or whatnot. Very, very young, very early stage startup. He's brought in as like the customer success lead to like build out the team. But dude, for personal experience, and he related this to like the first thing related to over drinks, like if your responsibility is building out a customer success team, god damn, dude, I feel bad for you, because the candidates and the quality out there is fucking crap out here. I don't know why. I was like, is it that way for you? Is it just us? Is it just me? What is it? Like, I'm not saying there's no good talent out there, but like CSM talent, dude, it's bad. And he's like, no, same way. I was like, dude, that's not like, yeah, it's cool to like quote go build a team, but I'm trying to do it too. If I'm trying to do it and you're trying to do it, we're both quote unquote heads of our customer success, AI customer success teams in London. And the fucking field is thin as shit with any kind of decent talent. And we're going to be competing for talent. Dude, just come on over, bro. Just come on over now. Fuck that, bro. Like, I know that you might think it sounds like cool or sexy or whatever to like, oh, you're the lead. That doesn't even sound that sexy, right? But like, you're the head of, you're the first, right? And you get to build your team. Yeah, great. But like, good luck building a decent team and customer success in like London, man. I don't know how to explain. And London is like, it's like best part of Europe for this sort of kind of talent. It's just Europe, I guess. Like, I don't know. Or maybe it's also that maybe in Europe, those that really do have talent take it to the big guys. The startups don't have the same appeal or sex appeal or interest to the real top talent. I don't know what it is. Maybe that's it. But that said, so we met up for drinks or whatever. So talks to the boss. I said, "Oh yeah, this is great. I've kind of been waiting for this day, right? This, I mean, always felt like it was going to come. Always felt like the day would come where there'd be that moment where it's like, hey man, you want to come back? And it'd be a yes or a no or whatnot, right? But I've been waiting for this day, and the day came. It's no better timing, to be honest. We really do actually need. I know we just hired a CSM, but actually we need another one too. And someone I can really trust, like I trust the US CSM, right? Someone I can really just build a team around. My US CSM could totally build a team around her. I need him, so I can build a team around him too. Just have two solid columns, pillars, foundations, like build teams around, right? And then I can focus more on like the like training up the other UK CSMs that need the training, right? And focus on things that like the VP of customer success should, right? Well, now global VP customer success and service delivery. So yeah, pay raise to be TBD, so that he isn't actually going to end up making more than me. He will come in making more than I've ever been making, but ever made here, but won't be making more than I'll be making going forward. So, but that was a long time coming. That was something that I was waiting to negotiate, and given what the great quarter we had last quarter around like renewals in particular and how many renewals we had last quarter. This was the time I felt fine asking for like a pay raise, because my pay raises have to be approved by the board, right? And like, yeah, the board's well familiar with me by now, and every quarter I've been joining those board meetings and presenting on like, all things renewals and pilots, and how things are going. And I feel like I've established a relationship to a degree with them, or they, in the context of like those board meetings. And like, yeah, I've been having a lot of success, sure, with like the pilots and stuff. But the big proof point, especially given the remit of my role, is like the renewals. And like thus far, this year is like the first kind of cycle of those e-com renewals that are so significant. But there haven't been very many every quarter, right? There's just been like, Q1 we had, how many do we have in Q1, right? We had, for when it comes to e-com, right? Like we had just 3, right? 3 e-com renewals, 2 mega upsells, and then 1 churn. So even though the mega upsells are great, upsells of like, of a very significant amount, right? The fact 1 churned, and that one that churned was the first pilot ever, made it feel like a mixed bag, right? In the second quarter of the ecom like renewal, there's only 1, and it was 1 of 1, and it was basically as is. We upsold by a very tiny amount, like 10% upsell, 9% upsell actually. So that's not what I'm about to fucking ask the board to approve a raise, right? So that was Q1, that was Q2, then Q3, finally, we had a significant number of renewals up for renewal, ecom related, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? Went 6 for 6, all of them fucking renewed, and 5 of 6 upsold, and 3 of 6 multi-year contracts, and NRR of over 150%. Fuck yeah, GRR, gross NRR, net renewal rate, or net retention rate, depending on how you say it, net retention rate, and GRR, gross retention rate. So net retention rate of over 150%, and of course, gross retention rate of 100%. Like stellar quarter. Doesn't get much fucking better than that. Like, okay, now I'm comfortable asking for more money, because it's not just me asking for more money. I've been kind of underpaid. Well, so how to say underpaid? This is the other thing I'm like was grappling with, is that I guess I'm not underpaid out here. I'm underpaid if I'm still in the Bay Area doing what I've been doing. I'm also underpaid if you think about how many hours I work, right? If you divide the number of hours I work by, I'm paid like, dude, it's under maybe minimum wage. Fuck. I mean, it wouldn't be that bad, but still, like, but I'm asking for like a significant leap, right? Because I haven't asked for a pay, I haven't got a pay raise in 3.5 years or whatever, right? I got a pay raise after the first year. And it was an awkward one where it's like a lot bigger variable and then a small increase on the base. So having up, even then, like when I first took this job, even then I was offered more money by Cisco. So 4.5 years later, I'm still making less money than I was offered 4.5 years ago. Now, granted, it's a moot point because I couldn't, they rescinded that offer once they fucking did the background check, right? But still, like that was my quote unquote market value, but my market value goes down to 0 when I can't pass a background check, so tricky one there. But anyways, that's that, right? So that's pending kind of board approval. We'll see what happens there. But most significantly is having this new guy in as the head of customer operations. When the boss explained to me originally as far as what was discussed between him and the guy, I misunderstood as what he was asking for was like head of customer success operations, which to me, I was like, that's like very internal. Like if we're going to put him in front of the customers, which is what we're going to do here, he'll be like a CSM. He just wants like a better title to show, especially when he's coming back to a company he used to work at. And also he's been a manager and now he's like responsible for like building out a team. The title has to show progress, right? Especially if he's going to bounce on this company after like only 2 months and all that. Totally get it, right? Like I have no problem with the title. even in the beginning, I was saying I'll make him director or whatever. Out here, they don't use director; they use head, right? Out in America, we hardly use head; we use director, their equivalent, right? Um, um, but but I misunderstood like kind of thing. I was like, no, 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 we got to put like something in the title that like indicates customer facing as well. So I put together like all these options. I was like head of service delivery and operations, head of service delivery and operation. How did I say it? Like the head of service delivery and operations, head of strategic accounts and operations, head of, and then this one I knew is the one he would bite on, right? The other two were just a lead up to this one. Head of customer experience and operations. And then, oh, just like head of customer success, EMEA. And that would have to be qualified by EMEA because US CSM is earmarked to be head of customer success North America and APAC, but not head. She'd rather have director, obviously, right? So yeah, so there's that. So, and then he jumped on that, so that title, right? Head of customer experience and operations. And the reason I kind of present is that at least then if you're on customer calls and titles in your signature, yeah, just kind of makes more sense that you're kind of customer facing. And it was unnecessary for me to even do that. I should have just given him what he wanted and fuck it. What does the title even mean? It's meaningless. Then he got fixated on the title. But also when my boss explained it to me, he said the title was like a significant piece of the puzzle that we needed to figure out to draw him in, right? Basically, like said, well, what would the title be exactly? He really liked that title, right? But and what I was explaining was a range I knew what his base was that about my boss offered. And I was explained that he would get X for variable and X signing bonus. Okay, that's a lot of money, but it's fine by me. Yeah, this is going to make us better. Him coming back will make us better as a team, as a company, make our customers happier. Yeah, let's do this. So, but first, I got first, really, obviously, him and I have to talk because I'm not sure about how he feels about me to begin with. Let's start there, right? And then so basically, boss shared my number with him. He reached out to me. We coordinated time to grab drinks on Monday. We meet up, we talk, tell him how things are going. First, we relate about how hard it is to find decent talent. Then we talk about how things have been going here at DG, how much has changed, sort of thing. He was very focused on where we're headed as well, right? Rightfully so. Then I even got into the nitty gritty of like, bro, I never felt like, we ever really connected, right? I always felt like you kept your cards close to the chest kind of thing. Are you okay, like working for me? Like, is that okay? He's like, yeah, that's something I have to think about too. I was like, okay, then I'm not thinking something out of nothing, right? So let's just bookmark that right there, right? That there is something there, right? There is like this ego pride kind of, I don't know what between like, I don't know, we'll see. I'm sure we'll be fine, but there's definitely something there. But also I think he's heard that like how like committed I am to this company. It's like, and also like, I also explained, bro, you're coming and making more than me currently, right? And that's totally cool. Like this is all about like the company fucking succeeding. We all win, right? If it does. And I need you or someone like you or someone like the US CSM here. So whatever it takes, not whatever, but like, let's do this, right? But then he explained to me that the boss actually said X to Y variable and X to Y signing bonus, right? I was like, okay, this whole like X to Y is it's throwing me for a loop. I thought it was all this like was agreed to, right? So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna get out a piece of paper. I'm drunk at this point, right? At this point, I've drank probably 3 double doubles and a Guinness. And I'm like making a contract with pen and paper. Like I know what I'm doing I shouldn't do, right? It's not a contract. It's just like, this is what the expectation was. You expected this title, you expected this pay rate, right? And the start date was never discussed with the boss. I'm just basically laying out what was discussed prior to us connecting. right? Then what I came back with is the titles proposed, right? And now you're telling me that there's this X to Y range on the variable and the bonus. X and X are both already huge, or X on the signing bonus is huge, right? And I'm like, okay, well, let me lay this out, right? Like, let's lay this out. And I put in writing, like, I put asterisks. I'm like, okay, if you go with the top end on any of these that I wasn't aware of, then no extended title. You'll get the title you asked for initially, but none of this, like, we're not giving you this why and why when I had no clue about why when I presented the title, right? Like, if you want that title, you can take X and X, right? Like, and it's maybe a little bit petty, but it's also an exercise between us, right? And it's an important exercise, and I wanted to see like how he'd be about it. And giving him like a double title up front, I mean, that's very generous, right? And very unnecessary also on my part, right? So, anyways, drink or whatever. Then I'm like, I really do need to talk to the US CSM because I don't want bringing you in, like, to step on her toes. I know I'd feel a little bit of a way, right? If someone was brought into the team while I was out in America, as the most senior CSM on the team, right? Without being without being aware, at least aware. Especially if we're talking about customer experience and operations, like, let me run that title by her. That may bother a little bit. Who knows, So I talked to her more so than anything. It was just great to I knew I just want to talk to her as a sounding board. So she was an easy out also in that sense. Like, one, I need to talk to her so we don't step on her toes. Two, I know I want to just talk to her as a sounding board on this thing, right? So let me talk to her and get back to you, right? Make sure that, this doesn't upset her anyway, because I really can't afford to lose her, right? Like, I could afford we could certainly afford not to hire you, right? But I can't afford to lose her. So let me just keep her happy and make sure that this doesn't rock the boat in any way. Speak with her, walk her through it all, this and that. I don't get into details of the pay, obviously, but I get into details of like the title, what I would expect him to do, working with customers directly, as well as this and that. Let's say, and then probably be selling, the original proposal title from his side, which is like head of customer operations. And it's not like he definitely doesn't want to be head of customer operations, EMEA, right? And let's be real, like, given the size of our company, and at any level of the company, I think customer operations, I mean, if he grows into what the role is formally should be, needs to be centralized in headquarters and should probably be global head of customer operations, right? I don't know, and you don't have no design or interest or eye on that such a role, right? Do you, right? I always saw you as like going into, head/director, or rather director/head of like customer success North America plus APAC, right? And she's like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's why. And she wasn't effusive like that. She's not like that. But like, yeah, that's what I saw for myself too, kind of thing. I agree with you completely, about customer operations doesn't step on my toes in any way. It would make sense that it'd be like centralized in headquarters. It doesn't put any kind of ceiling on me. We both agreed the customer experience title's fucking sexy. Everyone feels fucking sexy. I first came up with it, not that I came up with this title, but I first proposed it to my boss. I said, look, I want to be the head of customer experience, right? And she got back to me. She said, I don't think customer experience means what you think it means. It means more like support, related. I'm like, sure, that may be the case, that may be used that way some places, but that's not how I'm thinking about it. And honestly, I think that should be taken away from support-oriented role. I think we need to co-opt that, take that back, right? If that is how it's being used out there. But I first pitched it for myself, so I know that it's funny to see how much both this guy and my US CSM like gravitate to that title. I think that's a title that probably end up seeing a lot more of, or I definitely just want to keep in my back pocket. That was the title I always wanted, right? It fucking like be like what is like bees to honey or like flies to honey or whatever. As soon as you put that on, like people see it, hear it, like that's like it's a sexy title basically, right? It actually makes more sense than customer success, right? Customer success, when I first heard the title customer success, I thought it sounded kind of hokey as shit, right? Like, that's kind of hokey title. And every time I fucking try and explain like customer success or that I am, customer success manager, right? Just to people that don't know, like if you try saying that shit at like customs or something, right? What is that, right? Try saying that shit to my own fucking father. What is that? And they just do not get it, right? And then a lot of people, it's just that eye roll that I experienced myself when I first heard it. Like, that's kind of a hokey title, right? Anyhow, so customer experience by comparison makes much more sense. Um, doesn't sound as hokey. It doesn't sound hokey in the slightest. I'm sorry. Like, it's a good title. So keeping that. So long story short, right? Talk to her. Blah blah. Decide. Okay, the base is the base. That was kind of immutable. There's never any unknown range around that. I offered him of the x to y for the variable. Offered him x. And like bottom end of x, right? And the lowest for x is x to y. There's a range in there as well, right? There's, so let's say x to z. There's a y. There's plenty of y's in between that x to z. Game x on the variable, but fucking z on the bonus signing bonus, right? And in the little like contract I wrote, like it wasn't contract, but in the little thing I wrote, and then drunk as fuck, and then gave to him to keep. I did asterisks all the z's, x to z's, all z's, any of these, then extended title, no, like so it was right in line, thank God, right? It was right in line with what I put to paper in pen drunkenly and then gave him to put in his pocket, right? Never again should I do something like that. It was too risky. You put something like that, like you almost stick yourself to it. It's almost like I made a contract for myself, like it's not for him, So that was risky as fuck. I'm just glad it worked out well. Because actually, I think it worked out well. I still wouldn't do it again, right? But it worked out well because it showed that, like, hey, I followed through with exactly. There was a bunch of options in there. I followed through with. You didn't come back with like a full decided that I want this option. We never committed. We never shook hands, or he wouldn't commit, right? So I was like, okay, well, I came back with an offer. There's plenty of like probably at least three options in there, and then every kind of variant of between x to z, right? Every y between x to z, so that makes sense, right? So and then he doesn't respond to the email. He WhatsApps me and he says, saw the offer, all good. Can I just did you have a chance to talk to US CSM? Knows her name. Any chance I could still nab that extended title, right? And I was like, okay, I know he wants that title, right? But he didn't come up with that title. I came up with that title, threw it out there unnecessarily, right? And took it right back. But also gave him this like, incredible signing bonus I was unaware of. I thought I was blown away when we said we're gonna offer a signing bonus of X, and then I didn't realize that they actually discussed X to Z. I wasn't told they discussed like X to fucking Z to fucking signing bonus. Gave him Z. I just learned about. And that's mega money. That's mega money to any extent. That Z up front, hot damn. And then I say, extended titles off the table. Yep, talk. I said, yep. Yes, you talked to her or whatever. I said, yep. Extended titles off the table up front, but still in the cards down the line. And then I say, okay, good. He says, okay, got or something. And then I say, anything else, right? Oh, there's also the start date. That was another range thing too that was discussed. So or you could start as early as the 6th or as late as the 13th. So he said the earliest I can start is the 6th. I said, okay, great. What's the latest? He said, what's the latest? He said 13th, right? So 6th to 13th, right, was the range, right? And I led with obviously the 6th, right? Instead of offer for the best case scenario, why not shoot for a 5? And then he's like, I really don't know until I get back, right? If I can start, that'd be the best case scenario. I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll update the employee agreement to say commencement date. I mean, it's putting asterisks in an employment agreement, right? But whatever, I'll figure out the language. And then I just put, commencement start date of, Monday, 6/2021, or no later than 13th Monday, December, whatever, 13th. Which gives an option also to pick a date, right? He has a now window to pick your exact date. And I said, okay, I'll update that. It's with something to so that we have a mutual understanding here, but let's just keep it proper, right? Let's keep professional and fucking put it on paper, right? So I put it on paper, but before I do anything else, and I almost didn't want to ask anything else, but I also just wanted to see what he would say. And I was like, don't make me regret, right? Don't make me regret asking this, right? But is there anything else, right? He's like, well, I was gonna ask about the I'll even read this. I was gonna ask about the variable, right? He said bonus, right? But you meant variable, right? But it's the same, right? I was gonna how do I say? I was going to ask about the bonus amounts, but to be honest, it's a small difference at this stage, so I'm happy to go ahead, right? Let's do it. If you send the DocuSign over, we can get it settled, smiley face, right? And I don't address because he said, I was going to ask about the bonus amount too. I gave you X, I gave you Z, right? Basically split the difference essentially, right? And more money in your pocket here and now. And you would always, like, variable's always going to get negotiated down the line, right? You're always going to ask for more, and that's where we can give you more, right? And I don't even address, I woohoo and will do, and then I sent it through. So I didn't even address it. He's kind of touched on it. So I'm actually kind of glad I asked, because I'm also kind of glad of how he said what he did. Like he said, I was gonna ask, but to be honest, a small difference. So I'm happy to go ahead, right? Like, and then I just didn't even address the woohoo I'm saying, right? So all worked out real well. Now it's just a matter of when will he start. We have our holiday party on the 10th. We're kind of keeping it, a little bit of a secret from the team so we can kind of surprise the team to a degree. But I told my team too, after talking to USCSM, I told them yesterday actually, that don't want to make a habit of this. Anyone we bring onto this team, I want you guys to have a chance to meet or have see or know or have an opinion on, or be part of that hiring process. But we did extend an offer to somebody who will come on and be our head of operations if they accept. And they're like, oh, who is and I was like, I can't really tell you who it is, because it'll make more sense like later why, but like depending what they say, right? I'll be sure to let you guys bring you in the loop, right? And then what are they're like, oh, that's sketch, right? Or like, what is it exactly? They eventually got to, oh, that's sketch, or why can't you tell us or something, right? And I was like, all right, actually, I'll just tell you guys, like, this person used to work here. Oh, like, do you know this person? What did they say exactly? But anyways, I was like, I'll just tell you guys, whatever. It's like somebody used to work here, we want to get it locked in before, word gets out. So just like, like keep it on lock. Also because he's quite close friends with other people here, like it's kind of awkward if like, we let loose that we're trying to bring him back and maybe it doesn't work out, right? So, and also personally, actually, the real only reason I want to keep it secret because I want to like surprise people, but I'm now realizing that like some of the people that I thought would be the most exciting surprise already know. So maybe it's a moot point altogether. But any which way, told them that, and it's all understood, and they were cool about it once I actually explained why I wasn't. Why, just I'm letting you guys know, and this is why it's unique, right? and honestly, I can't make a commit that like we're not going to hire people without you guys involved in the hiring process. But given how much effort like and help like the US CSM and the UK CSM put into hiring this latest CSM, right? It feels bad to like then just go hire somebody without involving them at all, right? But the reason being is because I mean this person's worked here before. It's all validated as far as culturally and and competence too, right? It'd be awkward to have you guys like interview him, and that's not exactly going to happen. But you guys have a chance to meet him, and all be well. This is what he would do, and bring him on board. He'll still be like a CSM like the rest of us. But the title's kind of required given to bring him back. But also with that title, he will do this and that, which will be really related to the title, right? And help me do that stuff that like I haven't been doing for you guys, or could be doing, should be doing, could do better, that kind of stuff, right? So I was like, CS ops related. And even though I want to personally focus on CS ops. Actually, with this, I like that part of the job. I really do. I just haven't had like much time for it. But also with things like, my inbox is constantly full of people trying to peddle me shit. Like I don't read them at all, but maybe what I will do is just start forwarding them to him and say, like, look into this. Like, if there's some tool someone's trying to sell us that would make us better at our everything, right? Would make us better, right? Like, look into it, evaluate it, right? Let me know if it's something we should incorporate into our operations, right? Also things like right now, like this week in particular, I was almost like late to see him because I was like trying to figure out this Monday to Jira sync that I was struggling with. I mean, that's a perfect example, like something I could just task out to him, or it was Monday Unido Jira sync. It was syncing Monday and Jira with Unido so that we could have this bi-directional sync. And then like US CSM did a great job of like coordinating a call with Unido so they could walk us through what we were missing or why it wasn't syncing correctly or how I could control what did get synced. I got it to sync, but then I don't want all fucking tasks to sync, right? I want to be able to control which tasks do. That was a critical thing that couldn't figure out on the call, but she just got back to me today, or the Unido rep or whatever, explaining how to do it, and got done. And she helped with some other stuff like on the spot too, which is helpful. But that's a perfect example of something like me and the US CSM were doing that he could just own, right? Let's get the syncs working the way we want it, right? So yeah, it's exciting stuff, life-changing for me, because now I'm looking, when I break down the number of accounts and stuff, like I could maybe actually finally fucking have like a life next year. But now the big goal is to really go for it next year, right? We stably growing. Now there's this big discussion about really going for it. One of our main, and not main, but like our biggest investor in terms of like stake. And part of the problem is we have too many investors because we mishandled ourselves in years past. I wasn't responsible prior to me being in the mix at the exec level, right? But one of the one that has the most stake, only 20% stake though, still, wants to like give us more money, right? And also fix the cap table. Because right now the cap table is fucked because we took like this, we were desperate and we just took like these emergency money. And also we just took too much investment to too many little investors, right? Whether they were little or not, right? There's no one, and for the one that has the most stake is only 20%, right? It creates problems. It's just long tail. And right now, like I think the most unattractive thing about us as a company is, or like as a the one thing that's still like really broken about this company is the fucking cap table, right? Makes it difficult for anyone else to come in and invest more because it's so fucked. Also makes it's right now we're fucked. Like if we only get if we get bowed out for like less than like 40 million, for instance, all of us walk away currently with nothing. This preferential share tier bullshit, right? And we're trying to get these growth shares in place so that that doesn't happen. But those growth shares will only apply to like the kind of the original 8. Those other current employees get fucked, right? Basically, we need to just fix it for sure, right? But that right there, so we just got to figure out this year that I mean, the CEO. But I mean, that's the one like missing piece of the puzzle, because like we're all talking about, I mean, all this success we're having could amount to nothing, right? That's very rare. Well, not very rare, but like it's not completely uncommon, but it's just like we just need to fix that for sure. Um, why did I even say it? Oh, and then the idea is like, but the reason the main investor wants to give money is because they really want to give money so that we'll fucking go for it, right? Like take this money and invest in like fucking hyper growth, right? This hyper growth I've been preaching against, or all this time. I'm saying I really like our stable approach right now. But given the way valuations are being done lately, or more recently rather, is really around like growth, right? And we had this like very unique opportunity where we could like it's very easy to double up. If you go from 1 to 2 million, very easy to double up, right? Going 2 to 4 million, obviously not as easy as like 1 to 2, but 2 to 4 million, that's like a little challenge, right? 4 to 8 million, doubling up like 4 to 8 in a year, like that gets kind of difficult, like you know so yeah, I'm not going to get into details of where we're at, right? But like we have a unique opportunity here where we can like really have a great growth rate 3 years straight, right? But we really kind of got to go for it this year, whether we take money or not. I don't know that the money will make a huge difference. It's on to be seen. We'll take 2 million, a million, 3 million, to like, go for it, to like, because with that comes greater expectations of growth rate too, right? Also comes some potential dilution, right? Potentially. Definitely. Doesn't have to be, right? But like, yeah, and like fix the cap table, but I won't get into details of all this. Like, it's just too much to fucking unpack, honestly. But like, but that's kind of on the table for next year. And we've done well. That we did well last year, so that was probably where it fit. We made this shift to ecom, did really well. This year we're doing really well. It's going to really be a great year. If we could have a third straight like great year, wow, like successful exit or series B. But the problem is the cap table's so fucked that like a series B, like what kind of investor wants to come in? Oh, and they can't even get much, right? As far as stake, right? Because it's just such a fuck cap table. Yeah, I mean, for acquisition, it's okay, I guess. If someone's just buying the company outright, it doesn't really matter. But if somebody wants to get in, like a series B, like it's problematic. And also we get bought outright and we don't fix for these growth shares, or we don't like get more like common shares out to employees aren't part of that 8, then we don't even really benefit unless it's like over the preferential limit, right? Over that's like mega money, right? Which is like which is not out of the question, but like still it's quite a high fucking cap on that preferential shares for before like the money kicks in, the common stock kind of kicks in. So yeah, that needs to be fixed. But that's neither here nor there. What I am excited about though is like having like a solid pillar person in the UK on my team and a solid pillar person in the US, which I have. My first hire. It'll be my first and second hires, right? Yeah. No. Just hired my second hire. Yeah. But the second hire more junior, like not in terms of age, but like in terms of like CSM experience. And then of course, there's the original UK CSM. I need to just focus on making those 2 strong, but also have 2 strong ones, right? And our SEs are strong, right? We just need to get 2 more strong ones. And then I feel comfortable to say all the 4 good to great, SCs and 4 good to great CSMs. I feel like we can go for it. Like you could bring us whatever sales, bring it, we got it, kind of thing. But to be quite frank, before we made this guy hire that's just used to work here, I was having a hard time wrapping my head around how I was going to be able to do next year. I couldn't even like envision it. I was like, I just don't know how it's going to work, right? Like for me. I'm not, I think we could, I don't know, bro. It's exactly like that. Like that's, like say how went in my head. I couldn't even, now with him coming on board, bro, like night and day. Now I'm like imagining like, oh, wow, how great it's going to be, what all the things we could do, how we can make it work. Like, it's just like, poof, like a light bulb on, and like, like I can see the light, right? The rain is, the fog is clear. I can just see the light now, and that's like my imagination is running wild with all the amazing possibilities for my team. I'm just so excited. But prior to him coming into the question, prior to him to like, prior to this week, I was like, to be honest with you guys, like I know I talk a lot about like how this year is good, and stuff, and like, but I like was kind of dry. I was like, I don't know how next year is gonna work, and then like the last week I was kind of feeling that way because this new UKCSM is quite clear to me that like, they aren't the answer in terms of, I think they are the answer for like, e-com customers where there's like a playbook, where there's like, clear kind of like repeatable practices, right? But some of these other customers that are just like outliers in some way, or they're just like difficult because of this, they're on some sort of system that makes it different, or like this or that. Like I wasn't sure. Like I felt like she's not the answer for that either, right? But with him coming on, like he's perfect for that sort of stuff. Like those kind of accounts, it's just there isn't a playbook for. You just gotta fucking think on your feet. You've been there before. Figure it out, right? And that's what I mean when I say life changing. So that's what I led with, starting this whole one significant week sort of thing. Vacation significant, sure. Booking that, looking forward to that. My imagination, wheels are turning there too, right? And new hires starting, and it's good to have like a new hire start with a different like profile, right? And it's good. I like her profile because I think it complements our team well. It's also the context of a team too, like the persons, right? Make the kind of whole. But really it's this new hire, and we have our holiday party on the 10th. Hopefully he starts before then, even though he could start as late as like 10th of Friday, so is that Monday. Either which way, showing up for the holiday party, it would be great just to have him in, and sooner than later get him onboarded as fast as possible, and have somebody out here in a position so I can take a vacation. I really believe I could uptrain him in like 2 to 3 weeks, right? Well enough that he can like, be on calls if the calls even happen, given it's the holidays, right? And man the ship, I found someone that I even told him too, like, you're basically hiring my heir apparent, right? He's like, what? I was like, heir apparent? Like heir apparent? Yeah, he's like, oh yeah. I made a joke about, you gotta take me out, and like my job is yours. Had to make that joke in there, right? I had to. But I'm not going anywhere, right? I'm here till the end, bro. So you have to take me. So what else I said, so I have to put somewhere if I die from mysterious causes, check in. So this is me doing that, right? Anywho, all love. That said, much love. Be happy. Do good.